Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver Ja'Marr Chase should be the number one overall pick in 2024 fantasy drafts. Wait, what? I'm Alan Seslowsky of RotoWire.com. Since coming into the league 3 years ago, Ja'Marr Chase has finished as the wide receiver 5, 14, and wide receiver 5, most recently, despite Joe Burrow coming into last season compromised and then eventually leaving with a season-ending injury in Week 11. There is upside that Chase could separate from the rest of the elite wide receivers in his tier. There is little dispute that Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Ja'Marr Chase, and CeeDee Lamb, and maybe even Amon-Ra St. Brown all belong as the top 5 or 6 picks in your draft in any order that anybody wants to take them. But here's why you'd be wrong, unless you take Ja'Marr Chase with the number 1 overall pick. Not that an elite competitor like Ja'Marr Chase needs any extra incentive to play at the highest levels of the NFL, but Ja'Marr Chase is heading into a contract year which can and will set his family up for generational wealth. Chase is playing with an elite quarterback in Joe Burrow, who is presumably back to full health. Burrow is exactly the style of quarterback you want playing with your high-end wide receiver. Burrow is a throw-first pocket passer who proactively targets and looks for Ja'Marr Chase first on nearly every dropback. Ja'Marr Chase's wide receiver teammate is T. Higgins, who is one of the better number 2s in the league. Higgins is good enough where teams will have to pay attention to him and not double up and triple up on Ja'Marr Chase. Teams did wise up after Ja'Marr Chase's rookie season, where he dominated downfield using too high shell to make sure that Ja'Marr Chase had to play a little bit more underneath. You don't need me to tell you to take Ja'Marr Chase in the top part of the first round of your fantasy draft. I want to point out that he is a safer pick than some of the other top options and still possesses that league-winning upside. If you're thinking about taking CeeDee Lamb, who did finish as the wide receiver 1 overall starting in Week 8 after Dallas's bye, keep in mind, Lamb was wide receiver 24 for the first half of the fantasy season. The reason was most likely Dallas was trying to establish the run, which did limit the pass-catching upside. What did they do, Dallas Cowboys? They bring back Zeke Elliott, and not that Zeke Elliott is an elite fantasy back, but it does show that they may try to be more of a proactive running team at first, which could have CeeDee Lamb off to a slower start than we're more comfortable with, similar to 2023. There is no such risk with Ja'Marr Chase. Tyreek Hill dominated fantasy football in 2023 before slowing down due to injury and when the weather got cold. At age 30 and self-proclaimed retirement maybe 2 years away, there is possible age cliff for Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill has too much cliff risk to be the number 1 overall pick. Christian McCaffrey has been the best fantasy running back since going back to the days of LaDainian Tomlinson, LT2. I hate that nickname. With usage unheard of over the last few seasons, you cannot be surprised if Christian McCaffrey's workload is scaled back or if he starts to slow down at age 28. From a draft theory perspective, there have never been more playable running backs late in drafts than there are right now in the NFL. This is not the case with the elite wide receivers. So taking a wide receiver first and taking your running backs later in the drafts does make a whole lot of sense. Game theory and position scarcity are enough for me to elevate Ja'Marr Chase over Christian McCaffrey with the first overall pick. Justin Jefferson was the consensus number 1 overall pick in 2023. This year, Jefferson has quarterback uncertainty with journeyman Sam Darnold and incoming unproven rookie J.J. McCarthy. Jefferson did play well with Nick Mullins last season, but not good enough to be the number 1 overall pick. Ja'Marr Chase has the talent and has a good enough sidekick to draw away coverage and an elite pass-first quarterback in Joe Burrow. Chase should provide top 5 fantasy floor with the upside to be the number 1 overall player in fantasy football. I'm taking Ja'Marr Chase, number 1 overall in all my fantasy drafts. Let us know in the comments who you're going to take number 1 overall.